Welcome back, everybody. Today's video is going to be part 2 of my Jeff Beck's Brush with the Blues breakdown. What this entire video is a breakdown of the first half of a performance that was live from the Grammy Museum in 2010 that Jeff Beck did with his band. And I released part 1 last week, and if you want to see my entire performance of the first half of this song, you can see it there at the very, very beginning of that part 1. And basically the entire track, which you can actually see the video of Jeff Beck and his band performing it live on iTunes, on Jeff Beck's video section there. And it's really a phenomenal performance. And so basically that performance is about 6 minutes long. And it gets really crazy towards the end. I've learned about the first 3 minutes and some odd seconds of it, and that's what this part 1 and 2 videos are, a breakdown of those verses. And so last week's video, part 1, was just basically the first 2 verses, and the really cool licks that I know so far anyway come in this week's part 2 breakdown. And like I say, I'm not sure if I'll learn the rest of the song or not. I might. When I first recorded this video and the song itself, I actually was playing along to that audio from that live performance that goes with that video. And of course, once I uploaded that YouTube, it immediately got blocked for copyright infringement. So what I had to do then, since I'd already played all the guitar parts and I didn't want to have to replay all of that, was I had to go back, and in Logic Pro, I had to play all the parts and instruments as closely as I could approximate. Good luck to me, right? To what Jeff Beck's band is doing in this performance. So that's what you're hearing on all of these videos that I'm putting out on it, is actually me programming and playing live the parts as close as I could get them. So the original video was a lot better, but at any rate, the guitar parts are the same. And I guess I needed to man up and actually try to play these Jeff Beck licks without him being in the background. It's kind of cheating, I guess. So at any rate, some really cool licks. And I think even from this first half of that entire track, you'll get a lot of cool things from his techniques. And I will do one more small video at least concerning a few, not mistakes I made, but a few techniques that I did differently from how I see that he's doing it now that I've gone back and watched the video. I actually didn't have the video. I didn't know it was available on iTunes when I did this whole thing. I learned the parts off of just the audio. So at any rate, this is part 2. And once again, it's kind of a strange blues progression. And all the chord diagrams and scale diagrams attendant to these lessons you can find on my website at chuckjonesmusic.com. And once again, please subscribe, like, and comment on these videos, guys. It really helps me out a lot. I'm struggling to keep it afloat here, but anything you can do will help. And I appreciate you watching regardless. And here's part 2, which is the 3rd verse of Brush with the Blues, Jeff Beck, live from the Grammy Museum, 2010. Thanks, guys. 3rd verse. All right, let's get that much. So, once again, I have the B pentatonic here, but this time, guys, he's actually using a natural minor scale, and of course a B natural minor, which has the minor 3rd, 4, then 5, then minor 6, flat 6, and flat 7 as well. It's basically it's a D major scale, except you're using B as the tonic, the relative minor. So starting at the 7th fret, and it's kind of not using any whammy bar yet, but just kind of shaking that note. You could do it B.B. King style, or Beck usually shakes his hand like that. Then up here to the 10th fret, 8th fret, pinky, middle, index, G, that's the B string, and then the G string, 9th B string, 7th, back to the 9th. Then he's walking down through that B minor chord. B string, G string bar on the 7th, 9th on the D, and shake that. Then he goes back up, so that's, and you'll notice he's turned his volume back down for these. And actually, I remember from watching the video when it was up years ago, he did for this, top of this verse, he switched his pickup to the neck pickup to make it more mellow, I guess. And I'm not sure when he switched it back, but I usually try to switch it back pretty soon. So then this next part of the lick, he goes back, same lick on the natural minor. When he gets back up there, this is one of my favorite Beck licks. It's where he stretches up, and he's on the E chord here, right? He's using that 7th fret of the B string, playing it there, stretching up a whole step, which is basically bottoming out your bar. I can't pull it any further, and it lands perfectly a whole step higher. So then he leaves it there and plays the G string. And that's one spot where I wonder if Jeff Beck doesn't have his bar set up to pull a major third on the G as opposed to a minor third. Because it almost sounds like he's a major third up there. But I can ghost it and make it work with a minor third. Just leave it up and pull it down. Then back up. So 7th fret, then 9th fret. Start it with the bar up, then drop the bar, then come back up a whole step. Index finger on the G string 7th fret. You want to pull your bar up before you start that note. And you'll get a feel for this, guys. You'll know how much you got to lift it to get it a whole step and whatnot. Because you can go minor third with your G string. It's not like you can bottom it out there. You need to just get a little shy of that. Whole thing is like. Then he shakes that about 3 times. And then he walks down into this E9 chord. Right there, but with the 3rd in the bass, that D string 6th fret. And that's it. Remember the James Brown chord? So shakes that. Then he does a really cool thing here, y'all, where he slides that E9 chord up an octave. And when he gets up there, so you got the whole chord going with him, right? It's all kind of ringing, then hits the E string, G string, then E string again, but puts his pinky down on that 21st fret there. So then he lets that ring shake in the whammy a little bit. Let's see what he does next. I'm gonna just hit that much. So, and when the band goes back to the B minor, he's back up here at the 19th fret B position again, guys. Way up there. And this is a lick he's hitting. This is, once again, this. It's kind of hard to do these licks up, these high ones, y'all, without having the 22 fret. Heck, I'm just tell you right now, if you're trying to struggle with this and you got 21 frets, that's why. So starting again here on the A string, D string, and when he gets to that G string, A, D, D string, 19, 21, hits the G string 19th fret, he stretches it up a whole fret. So, once again, you don't want to pull it all the way because you get a minor third. You just want a whole fret, so a whole step. Then once he pulls that up to that that whole step, he actually lets go and goes up 2 frets with his ring finger and plays that note instead of, so yeah. So you go. It's kind of that motion. After he plays it with his ring finger, he goes back to the G string's 19th fret and slides it sounds like. Then does a pull off, 21-19 on the G string, 21-19th fret. Then hammer on 19-21 on the G string. Then hit the B string, you're barring that with your index, B and G string. And you're hitting the B string, that 19th, then walking down to that B minor chord. Then after he does that, there's this really cool dive lick he does, y'all. I just love this lick. Here we go. Is that not cool? So he's basically hit the A string 21st fret, then 19th to 21 hammer on the D string, and then pick the GB string, and then dive it down. And then, let's see what it does next. Love this. So then he goes up here. I can't remember if he gets that note with the whammy bar by pulling it all the way up, since it's hard-tailed at a whole step. But basically, I've drifted around myself. I've gravitated here towards stretching it, bending it. So you're just coming out of this pentatonic scale again. So that's it right there, man. So it's pull that off. 22nd to the 19th. Then I'm not sure what he's pulling off, what he's playing here, but the lick is basic. Then G string, then D string, hammer back on the G string, walk back down through the B minor chord. So, and you're hitting that D string 3 times. So, back to the G string, 19th fret, then twice on the D string, 21st fret, this second time. Back to that, so back to the G string, then he hits this D string 21st again and walks that down. Like he did down here, remember? Before he did that, except he's walking it down way up here now. And instead of just hitting the E9 chord, this time he's flatting the 5, y'all. It's like a James Brown chord, except you're flatting that D string, that B string one half step. So it's and once he hits that E9 at the 18th fret, shakes it a little bit. It's basically you're making a bar over at the 18th fret with your index finger on the D, G, and the B strings. But you're using your middle finger to play the 19th fret on the G string. Shake that. Then he just kind of does a rake down on it. You'll hear what I'm talking about here. Then he comes down here to E7 sharp 9, y'all. Instead of the flat 9, then he just did up a whole step. 6th fret, E7 sharp 9 chord. And basically starting on the big E string and raking through. And he gets all the way up to that pinky. See, I'm hitting every string. He may be using his thumb all the way down, but. And this rest of this lick, guys, I was trying. I went down there, but to get these 3 notes here, he's playing the B string open, G string 7th fret, then back to the B string open. So stretch that pinky twice. B string, G string, B string. Then he just does a slide. So shake that with your whammy. Then he comes into this really cool lick. Here you go. 7th fret right out of the B pentatonic. Yeah, and you want to have your volume all the way up on this one. That's something you stretch it back up after you do that. So it's stretch the 10th fret up a whole step, pull it off to your index 7th fret. Then you got that index barring the B and the E strings. You pulling it off, play the E string, play the D string, B string 10th fret, pull it off to the 7th. So far. Then you got stretch it back up and shake it. So you got. Then you're gonna do the same lick, except then go down to your 9th fret G string, and then back to your B string, E string bars. You can do that. You can pull that off with your pinky or your ring, either one. If you pull it off with your pinky, you probably use a ring finger there. So anyway, and he stretches that string up and kind of gets that bark out of him. So that part of it is. Then he grabs a whammy bar, hits a 7th fret B string. That's the only thing he whammies that I can tell. Then he's back into the pentatonic scale. So then the G string, that's on the B string 7th fret. Then G string 9, G string 7, G string 9. Walk it back up. Then he's stretching that G string up a whole step, then coming down here to the 7th fret of the G string. 9th to the 11th. So it's. Then he goes, bounces off that D string 9th fret to the G string 7th fret, and pulls off D string 7th fret. Then a real quick pull off, and then a slide. Pull off 9, A string 9th fret to the 7th, then slide it down to the 5th fret. So. That gets us up to a really cool lick that's not that easy to play. Here we go. So what he's doing here after he does this, slides down there, guys. Back to the 7th fret here is. This is like a pedal lick, I call it. Got to be able to finger pick this. I still can't do it as fast as Beck does it, so I kind of stumbled through this lick, as you could tell a little bit on the recording, but he's doing a bar here on the D and the A strings, 7th fret. We're still have that B minor 7 chord there. And basically he's hammering on to the 9th fret of the A string, then index 7th fret of the D string, he's using that little third. It's just a third, it's just a minor third. And he goes back and forth from the A to the D string. Then he slides up a whole step. He does that 4 times on the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, slide up. 6 times here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, same lick. Down a half step for 6 times. Up a half step for 5 times, 3, 4, 5. Then he slides up a minor third, same lick, for 6 times, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So far you got So you notice if you have it going on down here, and like me, if you're playing thumb, index, thumb, ring, thumb, index, thumb, ring, an even amount of times, 4 times, then you go 6 times here. That holds up all the time. But once you go to the 5 times here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you end on your index, and to keep it quick, when you slide up, you want to be now playing thumb, middle, thumb, index. So it switches thumb, middle, thumb, index. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He hits that 6 times there. Then he does a slide up a whole step and back 3 times. So it's 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the 4th time he goes back up. So 3 times, then hit it again. Then slide up. So he gets up here, he does it 6 times to the 12th fret. And it ends there. So the whole thing is like. Then, guys, I don't know how he's doing this lick. I just know that he's probably using this whammy bar, but I don't have any video to refer to anymore, and you couldn't see every lick on the video. You could see quite a few of them. But after slowing it down half speed on YouTube, I know that he basically wound up with that 4th interval at the 17th fret, or something that sounds like that. So you would think it'd be a B, but he's sitting is basically as part of a C chord. Right? Then okay, we're getting real close here, guys. Then after hitting that, he goes down here again to the 7th fret pentatonic position here, B minor. So after he hits that, he bends that regardless. I don't know if he's doubling it with that 7th fret of the E string or not, but you could. And he pulls off on that note and goes back up and hits this 10th fret of the B string again. But when he does this real cool Beck whammy bar lick, y'all. It's where when he picks the note with his thumb, his hand comes up. He's got his, actually I've seen him do this in another video, another version of this song. He's got his pinky on the whammy bar, and he's basically hitting that note, and as he hits it, he pulls up with his pinky. See if you can see it here. You can see him do another version of this. I forget which one. It may be the one at Ronnie Scott's, but where he does this at one point. Basically, he's doing that. He's using that same technique. And anyway, here he's doing it. Pulls up. Then he starts walking down the basically the Dorian mode here. Not all the way down, but it's out of that mode. So and he kind of, after he hits that whammy lick, he slides that finger down, then pulls off to the 7th fret, and basically pulls that off, and then pulls off those same 2 fingers on the 9th fret to the 7th on the G string. So it's B string, 9th fret, 7th fret, then G string, 9th fret, 7th fret. Then he's going to do the same pull off on the G string and the D string, but when he does it, he hits the G string, kind of hits that whammy again, I think, and he also stretches up. He does a little slight bend before he pulls off the 9th to the 7th on the D string. G string 9 to 7th. Then he goes back up to the 7th fret of the G string, D string 9th, walks down. So then he does this lick where he does that kind of thing. This is all so fast, guys, and half speed on YouTube, this is what I could come up with. So after he does the ends there, then G string 7th fret, D ninth, walk down, 8, 7. Then you hit that 7th fret again, 7th and 9th, hammer on, 7, 9 G string, hammer on. And after you do that, leave it down and hit that bar, 7th fret, B string, E strings. Then he goes up here and does this crazy thing where he's basically pulling he's stretching that 12th fret of the little E string up, y'all. A whole step. Stretching that little E string, 12th fret up a whole step. Using the whammy bar to get another half step. I think that's what he's doing, because he's getting that note. Let's hear it one more time. Yeah, so that whole thing, y'all. You'll have to kind of play with your fingering on here to get something that works for you. As your picking fingers, that is, I mean. Then he comes back down on that note. Then all he's doing, he's just playing that 12th fret of the B string and pulling off to the 10th fret of the B string. But he's doing that pull-up lick on the whammy bar. And he gets that kind of a tone. So the whole thing is there you go, something like that. Then once you get to the end of that, let's check it out, see what it does here. All right, he's doing a hammer on. Starts off pulling off, and then a hammer on. Every time in between these hammer-ons, guys, he's doing 2 hammer-ons down here with his left hand. So it's a index finger once there, then index finger again. Then he hits twice, hammer on 3 times. So it's the way I could tell this was, I just had to slow the YouTube video way down. And so, one way I practiced this was just to do this over and over. You want to keep those bottom strings from ringing, you might need to put your hand on the string. Last time when he does that double, he hits it once, pulls off, and stretches that 12th fret E string up. Then goes back down to the 12th fret and shakes it. That's a little licker. I think that's it. Let's see what he got here. So, then you're shaking that 12th fret E string, then you're back down to the 10th to the 12th. Then stretch the 12th fret of the B string, 10th fret of the D string, then 11th of the G string. So that's all. Now this lick here, I tried it like that. If you slow it down, you can hear he's doing 5 notes here. So first he's just doing that lick. Then he's going back up and stretching that same string. I tried that. Or striding down to that note. Then I realized there's an E note in here. That note there. So I don't know if this is how Beck does it or not, but I can't even do it up to speed like he does unless I play that open E string. So I play this much. Then That gives me time to get down to the 7th fret with my index finger on the G string. So he's doing basically stretch the B string 12th fret up, all going up there, then B string, then back up here, E string, G string 7th fret, then stretch the 9th fret of the G string, pull off. So just that root there. So it's so. Get it up to speed if you put that open E string in there. Makes it a little easier. Of course, your finger picking here too. So then he goes into, what does he do then? All right, down to the last lick, dudes, and dudettes, hopefully. So he goes up here to the 10th fret, a double string, bend the 12th fret of the G string up to that 10th fret A. Stretch that up, then waits a minute to go down that half step to the 9th fret, doing that stretch, that bend note, double note bend there. Well, you're bending the 12th fret of the G string to the same note as the B string 10th fret and hitting them in unison. Goes down a half step to the 9th fret, then back up and goes back and forth 9 times. Was that 9? But he speeds up as he goes, man. And then 9 times right here. And that, when he gets back up there on the 9th time, shakes that whammy bar. Then, I'm not sure what this next lick is, but sounds to me like he's hitting the B string, 7th fret, and the G string 9th fret, hitting them together, and really hitting the whammy bar. So you got an F sharp note there and an E note there. So then he's doing a slide up to the E note on the D string 14th fret. Then some kind of thing there. Then he goes way up here. I haven't learned all that yet. That'll be part 2, y'all. Once again, thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Once again, don't forget to like if you like it. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. And go to chuckjonesmusic.com for any materials I might have up with this video that accompany it. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.